What's cracking? Today on Big Bills, we're back to work on the Dodge Charger police car. I'm gonna see if I can finally get that subframe dropped out, get the new subframe put in. Let's see if we can get it done. So today I'm going to be working on making a support structure to hold the motor up in the engine bay. And I'm going to be using metal that I have laying around. And what I'm going to do is make a piece that goes from here to here and weld a little block underneath so that it's raised up on each side. So pretty much it's like a gantry. And then what I'm going to do is run straps here and here, like X them, and snug the motor really tight so it doesn't move. And then I'm going to start working on removing the subframe underneath and remove the motor mounts, and those should drop right out. And then I'm going to start replacing the subframe. All right, so I got my makeshift engine support here for the top. Let's go fit it up, see how it fits. Right in there, boom. That's all we need. I don't know if I should have it there or there. Maybe there. Now I'm going to run a strap this way and this way under the motor, and then I'll ratchet it up here, get it really tight so it's secure and it doesn't come down on me, and then we'll start disassembling. Alright, so as you can see, this didn't work because it was rolling on me. As I put pressure here with these straps, it was rolling in there like that. So I got to devise something else. Maybe Maybe if I shorten it a bit and it sits down inside of there instead. Just trying to get that height off of there. This won't work either. I think no matter what I do, when I put tension on that, it's gonna slip. But I can cut these off, extend them out a little bit more so that they sit in here on this flat part and see if that works. Let me try that. So none of that worked. The metal won't work up top. It's just too unstable because I have to cross the straps. And when I try to tighten them down, it just rolls that piece of metal no matter where I put it, and it's starting to scratch up the inside of the car. So I have to figure something else out. And I think maybe I might just have to go get a cherry picker. The problem is those things probably lift up to like right there, but the car is going to be on the lift way up here when I start dropping the subframe. So I don't know what to do about that. I was thinking maybe use this with a chain somehow, my frame puller, but then again, it's too long and have it stuck underneath the car while I'm trying to work. So I have to figure all that out. Every idea is not a good idea. So the first idea with the metal didn't work. Now I'm going to try to figure out how else I can rig this up to be supported from the top while I drop the subframe. Because if I support it from the bottom, the subframe won't go around that and into the car. So I'm kind of in the same scenario. I have to figure out how to brace it from the top up here while I work on it. So back to the drawing board. All right, so I believe I found a solution. May not be the best solution, but it's a solution. Check it out. So this beam that runs across, I had to pop this up. That's a support beam. So I put this beam from here to here, just put this for a little support. I know this is plastic, but there's metal directly right here under it. And then I put this from here to the front bumper guard that's metal. So I've got it taut now, and that's really all it needs to do is just support the weight. Like I've got it pretty tight actually. I don't want it, like when I loosen the bolts, I don't want the motor to come up. So I believe this is a good solution. This will hold it for sure. All it's doing is holding the weight of the motor at an angle because it's still mounted back there. The transmission's still mounted back there, and it's kind of, you know, off back there. So these two, this will hold it, I'm pretty sure. And we'll know because when I start loosening the motor mount bolts, I'll just see if it starts. I'm going to loosen those really slow and make sure that the subframe is dropping and not the motor. So we'll be able to see what's up with that. Hang tight. All right, so I've been taking the suspension out on the passenger side. I'll show you. I'm at a little standstill here, but just wanted to show you. So I got all this out. It's dropped down. Got this knuckle off. This one right here is spinning, but the bolt on the other side is this. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, right there. It's a massive like hex head, so I'm gonna have to run to the store and try to get that, but that's not really what's holding me up. What's holding me up is the nut on this side of this bolt. So check it out. See the nut up in there? I can get to it if this wasn't all smashed up from the accident. So what I'm gonna do is take my cutoff wheel and just slice all this out of here and peel it back so I can get a wrench in there and twist this bolt off. Hang tight. got it all cut out and got this out of there. This was a pain. So now I'm gonna have to cut this part of the subframe so I can drop this out. But you can see it's totally like smashed up in there. So I finally cut enough of this back and pried enough of that back to where I could get a wrench in there to pull this out. Alright, so what I've got is everything taken off except for this control arm here. And you can see that's going to be a pain. This is the one that has the big hex wrench on the other side, hex bolt on the other side. But you can see even to slide this out, just like the other one, all of this metal is like mangled and smashed up in there. So what I'm gonna have to do is cut all that out. But my cutoff wheel is almost done, and it's Sunday. Nothing's open right now on a Sunday. So I might jump over to the other side and just start to drop everything down out of there so that everything is done except those 2 bolts. And then I'll jump back over here probably tomorrow when I can get to the store when they're open. And check this out also. This is the motor mounts up here. See them? There's one and there's one. So those are gonna be a bit tricky, but I do have the socket that has the bendable head on it, and I'll probably just stick that up in there, ratchet that out on both sides there, and then that'll separate the motor from the subframe. And once it does that, like once I start loosening those, I'll see if these straps are holding, because you can see it's holding pretty good. They hold some weight. Those straps hold some weight, and that's not going to be hella weight. It's just kind of counterbalancing it because it is tied in back over here and bolted in, you know, the transmission. So we'll see. I'll take it nice and slow, loosen those bolts, take those bolts out. Then this is where the subframe connects, and it connects to the motor there. So once I start dropping these real slow, I'll just start seeing if the motor's coming with it or if it's coming by itself, and then I'll just drop it straight down. So it's pretty, I don't want to say straightforward, but it's not too horribly hard to drop this subframe. I thought it would be a lot harder, put it that way. If nothing was wrecked, I probably could have dropped this subframe and put a new one in about a couple hours. So it's not too bad of a procedure to do. It's a lot less work than I thought it was going to be, that's for sure. So let's get back to it. Alright, so a couple times back and forth to the parts store, I finally found the hex head that fits this bolt. This is a 12mm, and it's the only one that fits that bolt. And that's the last mount that has to be dropped. I can't believe all the rest of the bolts are just regular, and then this one they decide to make a big 12mm hex head. So if anyone's trying to get those off, that's what it is. It's a 12mm hex head. Let's get it done. All right, got that side released, ready to come down. I think I'm gonna maybe try to tackle the motor mounts. Boom, one side of the motor mount's taken out. That was not easy. So the bolts on the bottom, as you can see here, the nuts that are on the bottom, they're actually welded into the subframe, so you don't twist those. What I had to do was use my ratchet that has a swivel head, get it up behind there, straighten it out as much as I could, and kind of break them free. That was the only way to get those out of there. That's a pain, but I got them. Persistency pays off. Let's do the other side. right, I got the bolts out of the motor mounts on the passenger side. It was a breeze over here because all this was already kind of open and some of it's damaged, so it's pulled out of the way. But it's the same thing with the wrench that has the curved head on it. That's the only way you can get up in there to get this bolt out. But they came right out. Good thing it was a 2019, an older car. Those might not have came out. You might have to burn those out. But now the mission is going to be getting this out, because you see it's all crinkled around it. And of course I went to the hardware store today and I forgot to buy a cutoff wheel. We'll see if there's enough cutting area left on my cutoff wheel to actually cut that out of there. Hopefully there is. And again, this is the bolt that has that weird big hex head on the end inside of there. You can see in there. So really, after I get that done, that should be about it, and it's ready to drop. We just hit these bolts right here, I assume. Maybe this bolt right here that holds this lower support for the radiator. And that's probably about it. Should be ready to drop after that. We'll see. I'm hoping, I'm looking up in here and I see this is ripped out right here. So I'm hoping that's not like a threaded nut for a mounting point. If it is, I can always weld that back in there. Just get a nut and weld it in, because I can feel inside of there, and I feel it's kind of, oh yeah, I bet that is. See right there? I bet that is. But like I said, good thing I know how to fabricate. I can just weld the nut up inside of there and make it work, if that's what that is. Let's get to it. Alright, so I believe I've cut enough away from this trailing arm that when I start to drop this little section of frame that they chopped off that's left, it should just slide out from the side of it. Check it out. So I got the bolt out. I had to cut around, as you saw in the time lapse, I had to cut around the side here. I had to cut an opening right there just to get that bolt out, or it wouldn't release. So that is a mount. I checked on the other side. That is a mount with a nut in it. So normally I guess people would freak out about that, but thank goodness I know how to weld and fabricate. So I'll just get a grade 8 nut that fits that bolt. I'll put the nut and the bolt in there flush, and I'll weld it solid, grind it flush, and that should go right up to there. So now all that's left is to start dropping this subframe. And this is the bolt right here. Like I said, this bolt, I'm going to loosen this. It connects to the lower support for the radiator. So this should be the only bolt on this side, because that one's actually tore out. This should be the only bolt on this side to hold this little part of the frame that's left. So I'm going to do this really, really slow, and as I do it, I'll watch the motor. I'll make sure it's separating in here and not all coming down together. And my straps are all tight, and we should be good to go. So let's start dropping that bolt. Yep, as you can see, this is coming down by itself and the motor's staying up, so that's a good sign. That's out of there. Just make sure everything else is off of there. I don't see anything else attached. Maybe this. Yep, that's attached by a little plug thing there. And that's about it. Yep. So the only thing really holding that in is this. So I might have to run and get another cutoff wheel. As you can see, mine's a nub and it won't get in there to cut that off. So I might bolt this back up a little bit and then cut all this out right here. So I don't know, there might be a nut inside of there. No, it doesn't feel like there is one, because right here, if you look at this mount right here that just came out, the nut is way up in there. So maybe this is the same. My finger's all the way in there and I don't feel it, but maybe it's past that. Maybe not. Maybe there's still a nut up in there. We'll see when we get this out. Wow, that's a long bolt. Maybe that's why it wasn't coming out. Super, super long bolt. There it goes. Aha. Something's dripping. So these lines right here go to the power steering. So that end is broken right there. So I might have to definitely replace this whole part, if not just this section of hose from here to there, which won't be a big deal. So that's cracked. Might be able to find one in a junkyard even. Let's see now that I actually got the bolt out. Look at that bolt. That's one of the longest bolts I've ever seen. Look at how twisted that is. Definitely need a new one of those. Look at that. Wow, that's from the impact. Boom, I got it out. What a sense of accomplishment. I went and got a cutoff wheel and I cut it off and it came out. So this is the one side of the lower subframe. So this side's out and done. Now I have to move on to getting the rest of that out of there. This doesn't seem as damaged, so it doesn't seem like that will be as much work as this side. This side really seems like it took the brunt of the damage. You can see right here where it either ran up on something or something, and it all just damaged all this all the way back. So this seems like it took the brunt of everything. Finally got the subframe out. It's finally out. Man, that was a mission. I hope putting the new one in isn't as hard, but I'm not that hopeful. I think it's gonna be a pain, but we'll see. Check it out. Got it dropped. Came right out. Motor's up in there supported, hasn't moved an inch. I tightened the straps a little bit just to double check. So now, let's start fitting that subframe in there. All right, so I moved the subframe up under the car so I could kind of get a good look at it and see how it's gonna fit in there. And I could see that pretty sure that I don't have to remove the steering knuckle. Because I think this part should slide right into there, and then I can move it over, and that part should slide right into there, and then that should all go up, and the steering knuckle actually goes under all that anyway. So then I can bolt it up in the four corners, put the motor mounts back in. But before I can do all that, what I have to do is figure out something with that hole down there to be able to mount this. So what I'm going to do is take one of these body bolts to the hardware store. I'm going to find a nut that fits it that's grade 8, and I'm going to twist it on the end of there, put it up in the hole as far as I can get it to where I can still weld around it, and just weld around it and weld it in there. And that should be better than the factory. You know, welding a grade 8 bolt right in the steel should be pretty good. So let me go get that bolt or that nut and we'll get back to it. As always, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave me some likes. Watch out for my next build. Peace.